I never thought I'd fall in love in a warehouse. But then again, I never thought I'd end up working night shifts loading freight trucks either. Life has a way of surprising you like that. My name is Dylan, and 6 months ago I was a college graduate with a marketing degree and absolutely no job prospects. The economy was rough. My student loans were piling up, and my parents were giving me those concerned looks every time I came home. So when my buddy told me about an opening at the distribution center where he worked, I swallowed my pride and applied. 2 days later, I was wearing steel-toed boots and learning how to operate a pallet jack. The work was brutal. We're talking 10-hour shifts moving boxes that ranged from uncomfortable to absolutely back-breaking. The warehouse was massive, one of those regional hubs where semi-trucks rolled in and out 24/7. My shift started at 10 at night and ended at 8 in the morning, and by the end of that first week, every muscle in my body was screaming. But I needed the money, so I kept showing up. That's when I first noticed Miles. He worked the same shift, but he'd been there for almost 3 years. While the rest of us stumbled around trying to figure out the routing system and which dock to send which packages to, Miles moved through the warehouse like he owned it. He was maybe 27 or 28, with dark hair that was always slightly messy and these incredibly expressive brown eyes. He wasn't particularly tall, maybe 5'10", but he had that kind of lean, wiry strength that comes from years of physical work. What struck me first wasn't his looks, though. It was the way he treated people. Our supervisor, Gary, was the kind of guy who got off on making everyone else miserable. He'd assign the worst loads to whoever he felt like punishing that day. The freight came in all types. Some trucks had lightweight packages, mostly envelopes and small boxes. Others were packed with furniture, appliances, bags of concrete mix, the kind of stuff that made you question your life choices. I watched Gary assign an older guy named Robert to a truck full of industrial equipment on Robert's 3rd day back from a knee injury. Robert didn't complain, just limped toward the dock with his head down. Then Miles walked over to Gary's desk. I was close enough to hear the conversation. Miles spoke quietly, casually, like he was just making a suggestion. "Hey, Gary, I can take Dock 12. I'm already warmed up. Why don't you put Robert on Dock 7? That's mostly paper products tonight." Gary looked at Miles with this annoyed expression, but he switched the assignments. Miles headed to Dock 12 without another word, and Robert shot him a grateful look. I didn't think much of it at the time. People help each other out, right? But then I started noticing a pattern. The new guys, the ones who were obviously struggling, they always seemed to get slightly easier loads when Miles was around. Nothing obvious enough to piss off Gary, but just enough to make the shift bearable. And Miles never made a big deal about it. He'd just quietly rearrange things, offer to trade assignments, or show up to help someone who was falling behind, including me. It was my 3rd week, and I'd been assigned to a trailer packed floor to ceiling with boxes of tile. Each box weighed about 60 pounds, and there were hundreds of them. I was maybe an hour in, already exhausted, when Miles appeared at the trailer entrance. "Need a hand?" he asked. I wanted to say no. I wanted to prove I could handle it myself, but my arms were shaking and I was barely halfway done. "Yeah," I admitted. "That would be great." He hopped into the trailer and started working beside me. We fell into a rhythm, him passing boxes down to me loading them onto the pallets. He didn't talk much at first, just worked with this easy efficiency that made the job look simple. "You'll build up to it," he said after a while. "The first month is always the hardest." "Does it get easier?" I asked, trying not to sound as desperate as I felt. "Your body adapts," he said, "and you learn the tricks. Like this." He showed me how to use my legs instead of my back, how to position the boxes so they'd stack more securely. Simple things that no one had bothered to teach me. We finished the trailer in half the time it would have taken me alone. When we were done, Miles jumped down and stretched. "Thanks," I said. I really appreciate it. He smiled, and something about that smile made my chest feel tight. No problem. We look out for each other here. Well, most of us do. That became our thing. Miles would check in on me during shifts, offer advice, help me out when I got stuck with a particularly nasty load. And slowly, I started looking forward to seeing him. I'd find myself scanning the warehouse when I clocked in, feeling this little lift in my mood when I spotted him across the floor. I told myself it was just because he was nice, because he made the job more bearable. But I was lying to myself. There was this night, maybe 2 months into my time there, when a storm knocked out power to half the warehouse. We had to finish loading the trucks by flashlight and the emergency lighting, which barely illuminated anything. It was chaos, everyone stumbling around in the dark, Gary yelling orders that no one could properly follow. I was trying to navigate a pallet jack through the darkness when I collided with someone. Strong hands caught my shoulders, steadying me. "Careful," Miles said. His face was inches from mine, barely visible in the dim light. "Sorry," I said. "Can't see anything." "Follow me. I know this place blindfolded." He kept one hand on my shoulder, guiding me through the warehouse. I was hyper-aware of his touch, the warmth of his palm through my work shirt, the way his thumb rested against my collarbone. My heart was pounding, and it had nothing to do with the darkness or the chaos around us. We made it to the dock, and he let go. I immediately missed the contact. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I managed. "Thanks." He looked at me for a long moment, and I wondered if he could see what I was feeling written all over my face. But then someone called his name, and the moment passed. After that, I couldn't deny it anymore. I was attracted to Miles. More than attracted. I thought about him constantly. During my shifts, I'd catch myself watching him work, admiring the way he moved, the concentration on his face when he was solving a problem. At home, I'd replay our conversations, analyzing every word, looking for signs that maybe he felt something too. I'd dated women in college. I'd had girlfriends, relationships that felt nice enough but never quite right. I'd always told myself I just hadn't found the right person yet. But watching Miles laugh at something one of the other guys said, seeing the way his whole face lit up, I realized I'd been looking in the wrong direction my entire life. The realization terrified me. I grew up in a pretty conservative area. My family wasn't overtly homophobic, but they weren't exactly progressive either. I'd never seriously considered that I might be gay, because I'd never let myself consider it. It was easier to just go along with expectations, date who I was supposed to date, be who I was supposed to be. But Miles made me want to be honest, with myself, if nothing else. I started paying more attention to the way he interacted with people. He was friendly with everyone, but there was a carefulness to it, a way he kept just slightly distant. He never talked about his personal life. When the other guys told stories about their weekends, their girlfriends, their families, Miles would listen and laugh, but never contribute his own stories. I wondered if he was hiding something too. 3 months in, the company announced mandatory overtime. Everyone was pissed, but we didn't have a choice. Instead of 10-hour shifts, we were working 12s, sometimes 14s when trucks ran late. The exhaustion was crushing. People started calling in sick, quitting without notice, and the atmosphere in the warehouse got tense. Gary got worse. He started writing people up for minor infractions, threatening anyone who complained. The easier loads that Miles used to arrange for people disappeared because Gary was watching too closely. I got assigned to Dock 3, which had a reputation for being the worst. Oversized freight, irregular shapes, stuff that didn't fit on standard pallets. I showed up and stared at the chaos inside the trailer, feeling my stomach sink. "Dylan," I turned. Miles was standing behind me, holding 2 energy drinks. He handed me one. "Rough assignment," he said. "Yeah." I cracked open the drink, grateful for the caffeine. "Gary's on a tear today." "He's always on a tear," Miles looked at the trailer, then at me. Listen, I'm on Dock 4, right next to you. I'll help you with the weird stuff, okay? We'll get through it. You don't have to do that. You have your own work. I know I don't have to. He met my eyes, and there was something in his expression that made my breath catch. I want to. We worked side by side that night, him calling over whenever he had a free minute, helping me figure out how to secure the irregularly shaped freight. During our lunch break, we sat on the loading dock together, legs dangling over the edge, eating vending machine sandwiches and not talking much. But the silence was comfortable, easy. I kept stealing glances at him. The way the streetlights caught in his hair, the small scar on his chin that I'd never noticed before. The way his hands moved when he gestured while talking. "Can I ask you something?" I said suddenly. He looked over at me. "Sure." I chickened out. "Why do you still work here? You're clearly smart enough to do something else." He was quiet for a moment. "I needed a job where no one asked too many questions," he said finally. "Where I could just show up, do the work, and go home. This place is good for that." "What were you running from?" The question came out before I could stop it. Miles didn't seem offended, though. He just smiled sadly. "Myself, mostly," he said. "Expectations. The person everyone thought I should be." He paused. "You ever feel like that? Like you're supposed to be someone you're not?" My heart was pounding. "Yeah, all the time." He looked at me, really looked at me, and I felt like he could see everything I was trying to hide. The confusion, the fear, the wanting. "It gets easier," he said softly. "Being yourself. It's scary at first, but it gets easier." I wanted to ask what he meant. I wanted to tell him everything I'd been feeling, but Gary chose that moment to stick his head out and yell that break was over, and the moment shattered. The next few weeks were torture. Every shift, I was intensely aware of Miles. Every conversation felt loaded with subtext. Every accidental touch sent electricity through me. I started dreaming about him, waking up with my heart racing and a longing I didn't know how to handle. I knew I needed to say something. The not knowing was eating me alive. It was a Friday night, technically Saturday morning, around 3 a.m. The warehouse was quieter than usual, half the crew having called in sick. Miles and I were working the same section, and we'd fallen into our usual rhythm. He was telling me about a documentary he'd watched about deep-sea creatures, his enthusiasm making me smile. "You think anything we do matters to them?" he asked. "Like, there are fish living 5 miles underwater that have no idea humans even exist. We're completely irrelevant to their entire existence." "That's either really depressing or really freeing," I said. "Freeing," he said immediately. "Think about it. All the stuff we stress about, all the expectations and judgments, none of it matters. We're just here for a blip and then we're gone. Might as well spend that time being honest about who we are." I stopped walking. Miles took a few more steps before he realized I wasn't beside him anymore. He turned back. "You okay?" "Can we talk?" I asked. "Somewhere private?" Something shifted in his expression. Concern, maybe, or recognition. "Yeah, come on." He led me to the far end of the warehouse, to a section where they stored empty pallets. It was quiet, isolated, the hum of the machinery distant. "What's up?" he asked. I took a breath. This was it. No more hiding, no more pretending. "I need to tell you something and I don't really know how to say it, so I'm just going to say it." The words tumbled out fast. "I like you, more than as a friend, more than as a co-worker. And I know that might make things weird, and I'm sorry if it does, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel this way." Miles didn't say anything. He just stared at me, and the silence stretched out until I thought I might die from the anxiety. "I'm sorry," I started to say. "I shouldn't have—" "Dylan," he stepped closer. "How long have you felt this way?" "I don't know. Weeks? Months? Since the beginning, maybe. I didn't understand it at first. And now you do. Now I know I'm gay, I said. The words felt strange in my mouth, foreign and true at the same time. Or bi, maybe. I'm still figuring it out, but I know how I feel about you. Miles reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, he touched my face, his palm warm against my cheek. I've been trying so hard not to do this, he said quietly. You're new here. You're figuring yourself out, and I didn't want to be the guy who took advantage of that. You're not, I said. My voice came out shaky. Miles, you're not taking advantage of anything. I want this. I want you. He smiled, and it was like the sun coming out. I've liked you since your second day. You were so determined to prove yourself, so stubborn about asking for help. I thought you were beautiful. You did. I did. I do. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. Can I kiss you? I nodded, not trusting my voice. He kissed me carefully, gently, like I was something precious. His lips were soft, and he tasted like the mint gum he was always chewing. I'd never been kissed like this before, with this much tenderness, this much care. My hands found his waist, pulling him closer, and he made this small sound that sent heat through my entire body. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. Wow, I said. He laughed. Yeah, wow. We stood there, foreheads pressed together, and I felt something settle into place inside me. This was right. This was real. We should probably get back to work, Miles said reluctantly, before Gary comes looking for us. Probably. I didn't move. Neither did he. Come home with me, he said. After shift, we can talk or not talk, or just exist in the same space. I just want more time with you. Yes, I said immediately. Yes, I want that. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. We worked, but everything felt different now. Every time our eyes met, I felt that spark. Every accidental brush of hands felt intentional, meaningful. When 8 a.m. finally rolled around and we clocked out, Miles led me to his car. We didn't talk much on the drive to his apartment. He lived in a small complex not far from the warehouse, the kind of place where people minded their own business. His apartment was neat, sparsely furnished, but comfortable. Books everywhere, plants on the windowsill, a couch that looked well loved. It's not much, he said. It's perfect, I told him. We ended up on that couch, talking until the sun came up properly. He told me about growing up in a religious family, about coming out at 22 and losing most of his friends, about moving here to start over, to build a life where he could be himself without apology. I told him about my confusion, my fear, the way I'd spent years not letting myself see what was right in front of me. You're brave, he said, admitting this to yourself, telling me. That takes real courage. I don't feel brave, I feel terrified. That's what courage is, being terrified and doing it anyway. He kissed me again, and this time there was no hesitation. We made out on his couch like teenagers, and it felt amazing and right and like coming home. Eventually, exhaustion caught up with us. We fell asleep tangled together, and when I woke up a few hours later with Miles's arm around me, I felt a peace I'd never experienced before. That was 4 months ago. We're still working at the warehouse. Miles is talking about going back to school, maybe getting a degree in social work. I'm looking at job postings again, feeling more confident about what I want to do with my life. We're taking it slow, figuring things out together. I came out to my parents last month. It didn't go perfectly, but it didn't go terribly either. They're trying, and that's something. Gary still assigns the worst loads, and the work is still brutal. But Miles still finds ways to save me the easy ones when he can. And when he can't, we tackle the hard ones together. I never thought I'd fall in love in a warehouse. But standing next to Miles at 3 in the morning, both of us exhausted and covered in dust, sharing a smile over some inside joke, I can't imagine my life any other way. Sometimes the best things find you in the most unexpected places. You just have to be brave enough to let them in.